gets to drive the 13 mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Driver of the number 5 Kiker Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
With Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing. Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'd like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing tonight. We're already having fun doing our own laps in the background before we get started. We got Matt Mullins, Al Pearce, and Brian Tidball from Saluda Speedway, or Virginia Motor Speedway.
Man.
Depends on who knows it. Hey, give it both ways.
And it's not in Saluda.
It's in Jamaica.
It's
That's
in
right.
Jamaica.
8 miles north of Saluda.
I said Saluda Speedway. I didn't say it was in Saluda.
Track was never named that, though.
Everybody just called it that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also are going to have Mike Retal on a little bit later on. He is in the process of filming a lawnmower racing movie, of all things. This should be interesting.
I've seen some wicked-looking lawnmowers up in Pennsylvania.
Oh, but
They
hey,
race them big time up there, don't they?
oh, they get cranking over 100 miles an hour. Don't ever wipe out on one of them suckers, though. Then we also going to have Sam Bass rounding out at the end of the night here. We'll have a good time with him.
You
and
met
we'll
Sam,
put out
haven't you?
some stuff
Sam?
out here.
Yeah,
Sam Bass.
I need a favor from Sam.
Well, you'll be able to get with him.
All right.
Blackmail them.
I don't need to blackmail him. I need to ask him to do a favor for me with a Sharpie.
A bunch of autographies.
I need him to help fill in where somebody smudged the football coach's name.
Ah.
If I get Sam an example of the signature, Sam can probably make out where the guy had it until somebody smudged it. Anyway,
We're going to start off tonight by saying congratulations.
thank you.
Virginia Motorsports Hall of Fame.
Virginia Sports
Hall of Fame. And you got, what was the deal up at, you went in front of the legislation here last week.
Monday week ago, the 5 of the 6 members of the class of what year is this?
2012.
2012, right. 5 of the 6 of us went to the House of Delegates in Richmond, the state capitol, and the state senate in Richmond, and they read proclamations and introduced us to the delegates and the senators and congratulated us on being the class of 2012 into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Did you know this was coming?
Yeah, I knew. They called me at Homestead in November. And the guy who called me said, hey, I'm Eddie Webb, whom I know. He said, I want to congratulate you. No, I'm sorry. He said, I got good news for you. And I thought what he was going to tell me was that a guy named Larry Lauterbach, a powerboat racer, had finally gotten in to the Hall of Fame. Because for years, I've been trying to get Larry in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I never imagined that I'd make it. But I mean, I told, in part of my presentation to the Hall of Fame selection committee was this one sentence. If Larry Lauterbach had accomplished in a race car everything he's accomplished in a race boat, he'd be in every Hall of Fame in the world. So he's won everything.
And it was brothers, wasn't it? Henry?
No, it's his father.
Henry was his
Henry's his father, yeah.
And then Larry.
And Henry's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But anyway, I was thinking Eddie Webb was going to say, I got good news. Larry Lauterbach will be in the Hall of Fame. He said to me, I got good news for you. He said, you have been selected for next year's Hall of Fame class. And I got the cell phone in the media center. I said, Eddie, do you know who you're talking to? Are you sure? You know who I am? He said, yeah, I know who you are. And I was just completely, utterly, sincerely blown away. I had just no idea. But he said, keep it quiet until January when we announced it up at Richmond. So I did. But it's a pretty cool deal. I told a guy at the Daily Press who wrote a story about me was, all I've done for 43 years, mostly, is write about race cars and drivers and teams and all. And I said, you wonder whether anybody is reading. You wonder if anybody's noticing. Because you don't get a lot of feedback.
And this is some good validation for you.
Well, I guess so. I don't know.
I read it enough to make it matter.
Well, back in the day when newspapers were the thing, let's face it, you, Randy Hallman in Richmond, and V. Horn across the river. I mean, y'all were the ones that wrote everything. And now, because of this right here, the internet,
papers are dying.
Papers are a dying thing. The only thing you can do in print media has got to be feature stories that you cannot get online, results and stats. That's internet now.
But you can get results and stats.
Yeah, you get them faster than you get them on a newspaper.
Well, but you can't. The thing is, though, newspapers are going to give you a local feature. Marty O'Brien, when he does racing stuff, he goes out and he talks to drivers and owners and teams and all, and that will be in the Daily Press. That will not be on any big, it won't be on J-Ski, it won't be on any so-called big internet site because it's local. Yeah. All the other stuff, they want national news.
Right.
They want to fire at Joe Gibbs today, and they want Almendinger winning the 24-hour race, and they want Danica getting points to make the Daytona 500 field. You don't get local stuff except in the newspaper. And I don't know, I cannot tell you, I don't know how much longer there will be newspapers around here. And there's word that the Daily Press may go to not every day, but maybe every other day, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday only.
I mean, there are still people out there that do not have computers, that do not have the internet, even though that number is small.
And I still like reading the paper. If I see it there, I still will pick it up. I will still read it. I'll still look at it.
You want to check to make sure you haven't died yet,
Yeah.
Obituaries,
the first thing I look at. But the point I'm making is, I really, when they called me, I really was kind of taken aback. I really didn't quite. I believed him because I've known Eddie Webb forever. I know his father, Paul Webb, known him forever and ever. But I was just stunned. I just could not believe that they had run out of candidates, I guess. And, well, we got to have another guy. Let's get this. So, I'm pretty happy.
Are you the only you'll be the only sports writer in the...
No, they do a deal every so often. They will have a media person. So there are people in the Hall of Fame already, people that I knew, people that I grew up working with, Bill Millsaps up in Richmond, Jennings Cully, Jerry Linquist, Jim Dusabella from Norfolk. There are guys, Bob Moskowitz from the Daily Press years ago, and Charlie Karmosky. So there are others in there, but I never thought a guy who wrote about race cars, they'd even consider him. Because the Hall of Fame, bless their heart, and I love you people, but they are primarily an old school stick and ball, UVA, Virginia Tech, William & Mary, Richmond, VMI type. That's a closed little group.
Right.
They wear coats and ties a lot. They don't wear many sweatshirts and T-shirts, and they don't wear hats. And I just didn't think that a guy who covered racing predominantly over his career would ever be somebody who came on their radar. I didn't know.
Well, I mean, it's based, of course, here in Norfolk, and you've got a lot of input as far as there all the years of Daily Press. As far as I know, you're the longest writing person still doing it in the state. That's still doing it because everybody else is gone, or their papers are using wire services, and once in a blue moon you might get something local.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And-
it's just.
You get to join some other good people from
Oh,
motorsports
yeah,
that are
absolutely.
already in that hall.
Well, obviously, the guy. There are two guys that I'm really, and I told Billy Sawyer yesterday on the phone. There are two guys that I'm really happy about being affiliated with in this Hall of Fame. One, of course, is Paul Sawyer,
Yeah.
who I met in 1969. One of the first people in racing to introduce himself and welcome me and help me out and sort of kind of get me started. And then the other guy that I'm just thrilled to be going in with is the late Ray Hendrick,
Yeah.
because the first man I ever wrote about, the first Monday I worked at the Times Herald, which is now the Daily Press, in 1969, the first story I wrote was about Ray Hendrick.
Really.
And that started me, that was the first. And I'm absolutely delighted that Ray is going in, and we will join Mr. Sawyer and Wendell Scott and Joe Weatherly and Curtis Turner and Ricky Rudd, and I think that may be it.
I think so right now.
And Henry Lauterbach, who built boats more than raced them, did both but was a builder, and that's why I so much want Larry Lauterbach to make it in there.
You know, something when we talk about Ray, a lot of people, the NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers. Well, anybody who doesn't know short track racing, especially along the eastern seaboard, like, well, this guy never won a cup race.
Right.
Well, he never wanted to go because he couldn't make you money doing that as he did modifieds. And he was in 50 NASCAR greatest drivers of all time, rightly so. He's in the International Motorsports Hall of Fame in Talladega.
Yep.
And
he's in the
Weatherly.
Virginia Motorsports Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame at Darlington. Ray's everywhere.
Yeah.
And things are not right, irritate you. They're doing NASCAR Smarts TV show one time, and they're asking who the winningest driver is in Martinsville. Of course, the guy goes, "Oh, Richard Petty." Ding ding, you're right. I go, bull.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Ray Hendrick, 20 wins.
Ray Hendrick is.
My wife goes, calm down. I said, well, if they're going to have your stuff, have your right stuff.
Right. Have it right if you can do it. But
Or at least say
in NASCAR,
who's the winningest cup driver.
Yeah, then that's another deal.
I get upset, and I always want to bring this up to you. I get upset when they say that Richard Petty won 7 Sprint Cup.
Well, but see, they will always call it what it is now, even if it was 50 years ago. Every bowl game, the Virginia Tech recently played in the something bowl presented by.
Right.
Well, it was a Sugar Bowl, and it still is, but they call it what it is now, but it's still that. And they're not going to, God, if they started calling each different race what it was.
Oh my God.
I mean, okay, Richard Petty won.
He won 2 Grand National, 5.
He won 2 grand. Whatever the deal is, you have to call it what it is at the time. Now, when Sprint goes away, and they will at some point, when Sprint goes away and somebody else comes in, it'll be the something other cup.
Yeah, the Taco Bell Dixie Cup.
Right, the Budweiser Cup or the Chick-fil-A Cup or whatever, and then it'll say that Jimmy Johnson won 5 straight Budweiser Cups or whatever. Because you can't go if you change it for 1 year, then you got to change it for, well, let me see now. Gordon won 1 of them under Winston, 2 of them under this, and 2 under whatever, and you just get confused. At least I do. But you don't, obviously.
Well, no, and I don't. But and the reason is, and I'm not taking nothing away from Sprint. I'm glad they're there. But Winston was there when that sport needed it the most. And I feel like it's kind of belittling them a little bit. You know what I mean? I just feel like Jeff Gordon won his first race in a DuPont car. You're always going to remember that. Okay, Richard Petty was
But he didn't win his last one in a DuPont car.
No, he won it in the AARP.
The Hunger car, right.
The Hunger car. So, I just feel we need to remember them a little bit more.
Well, yeah, the Gator Bowl used to be called the Gator Bowl. It's probably had 5 or 6 sponsors since then.
The Citrus Bowl was originally the Tangerine
Bowl, right.
Yeah.
Right. So, you just, and I met somebody on the media tour the other night in Charlotte, who asked me. I said, I've been doing this since 1969, and the gentleman said, what is the biggest change you have found in those years? I said, well, from 69 until about the mid-'80s or late '80s, it was a legitimate competitive sport. Driver against driver, team against team, owner against owner, crew chief against crew chief. It has now become a corporate event in which the same owner will own 4 teams, and if it serves him best that another of his cars wins, he might tell another guy, we need so and so to win more than you need to, and it's business now.
Yeah.
It's 90% business and 10% racing. It used to be 90% racing and 10% business.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the beast. That's the way it is. And I told Billy Sawyer today, I'm glad that I was part of this sport back in the late 60s, all through the 70s, into the 80s, and I saw it back when it was competitive, fun, different
good old boy racing.
Different than what it is now, yeah. Now, the competition on track today, I think, is best it's ever been. More guys can win now than I've ever been able to win.
The only bad thing is on that, when you think about it, the cars are so equal that they can't pass.
Well,
If somebody slips or we move them, and you start moving each other, they don't remember the old boys that was part of the game. We don't wreck you, but we will move you.
I got to agree. I got to agree with you on that. I would really like to see, and I go back to the time warp. I would like to see, and I think there's only a couple that could do it, like a Tony Stewart going back and running the '79 Daytona 500, or at Dover in '79.
500 miles at Dover without power steering in July. Oh yeah.
Now Tony could do it.
Yeah.
He's probably
Some others
one
could
of
do
them.
it. Some
There's
others
a couple
could do
other that could probably do it. Carl could probably do it.
Well, one thing that they wouldn't have that they do now, they could not run the caster that they run in the front ends without power steering, because that is one thing that has allowed them to be so much more aggressive on caster settings is by having power steering.
Yep.
You take and I'll give you a prime example up South Boston Speedway. Roy Hendrickson is Daddy's old car. Perk Brown is in his old car, William Mason car. And after about 10 laps of exhibition scooting around the track, and Roy come back in, he got out the car and he looked at us and he goes, now I know why Sonny and Daddy's arms look like Popeye. He said, man, that's like driving an ox cart.
Yeah.
He said, I can't believe they race these things.
You look at a lot of the older guys that ran, they got some pretty big forearms. I think Richard Petty was the one with the smallest forearms, though.
Yeah.
But
it's just different. It may be better, it may be worse. That's not for us to say. But more drivers can win. The races are more competitive. You get some bogus lead changes because of the lucky dog and the wave around and all that stuff. But still, like Talladega's pretty good racing. I don't care what you say. Bristol's pretty good racing.
Yep.
Now, the mile-and-a-half cookie cutters, not so much. But boy, when they turn them loose at Talladega and Bristol and Martinsville, places like that, it's a pretty good show.
I'll tell you, and I'm not saying it just because I'm connected with the family, but Richmond will put on a good race because you can get 2 and even 3 wide on that track. You just got to be real careful coming out of 2 so you don't bust your butt.
It's always been a great place to see a race. Richmond is. Martinsville, I still love Martinsville. Bristol, I will sit and watch the whole thing.
Well, the thing you don't see as much in Martinsville today as you did back in the day was you could sit there, and if you were in the first 10 rows, you smelled 2 things, brakes and rear ends.
Yeah.
And they would burn up rear ends or lose brakes. And now with all the technology and high dollar stuff,
it's not as much as what it used to be. Yeah.
I mean, they may get them heated up and they don't work as well, but they don't. It's not like it used to be. Boil the brake fluid out and no brakes.
I think Martin Truex will question that brake thing from last April. Truex lost his brakes and took a terrible lick up in turn 3. But anyway. Yeah. But I'm glad to go in with Ray.
And we're glad to have you going in. I think it's well deserved. Perfect time, and
I appreciate it.
And
while
very
I'm still
fun.
alive.
Yeah. Larry McBride made the comment today. I was down at his shop, and he says, it's not been the same since you left and went.
Well, I appreciate
and you're
that.
you're sorely missed, you know,
appreciate that.
into print. So you made the comment when you walked in. Give us your pick for the champion this year.
This year's champion is an old guy.
An old guy.
He's won championships before, but it's been a long time.
Gotta be. Ain't but one old guy that's won.
I would say either. Well, no, Jeff Burton hasn't won a championship.
No, this guy's won championships.
Jeff
But it's
Gordon.
been a long time.
You going to pick Jeff Gordon?
Yeah.
That's
And I
a
don't.
good-
You asked me why. I have absolutely no clue, except that he'll turn 41 this year. He's 40 right now. He'll turn 41 during the season. He hasn't won in 10 years, and I just cannot imagine him going much longer. And he hadn't got his window of opportunity is getting really small.
Yeah.
And I just think that I don't, and I can't tell you why, because Jimmy Johnson's still a factor. I don't think Junior's going to be a factor. Casey Kane won't be a factor, I don't think, this year. But I think Roush will have a couple of cars that'll do it. I still think Kurt Busch or Kyle Busch will be a factor. Harvick will be a factor again. I think
Harvick will.
Montoya, I don't think. McMurray, I don't. Yeah, I think you got about 6 or 8 guys
That could do it.
that are
possibly.
fairly legitimate. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Nationwide, I'm picking Sadler.
And that would be well deserved.
Because if you look at the list of full-time, fully funded, I'm going to run all 33 race nationwide guys. There aren't that many.
Yeah, no.
Maybe about a dozen.
Man, but some of them, I said decent drivers.
Yeah.
You got to go less than that maybe, because I don't consider among that group. I don't consider Hornish. I don't consider Kligerman as being, great. And the 2 Bushes are going to share a ride, so neither one of them is going to run enough to be to contend for it. Cole Witt is new to the '88 car. I don't think Danica, I don't think she's going to win it. So I think you're down to maybe. I think Stenhouse, if he runs them all.
If Stenhouse and Elliott, Justin Allgaier will be back.
Will probably be there.
He's got a good chance.
The Turner
car.
But there's only about 4 or 5 fully funded, decent, full schedule nationwide guys. There's actually more. I think I'm right on this. I think there are more Camping World full schedule, fully funded drivers that can win than in nationwide.
I think you're right.
There's a bunch of them over there.
Right.
You got Hornaday, you got Matt Crafton, you got Joey Coulter. I don't think Ty Dillon can win it.
You got Sauter.
But he'll get Sauter.
Timmy Peters.
Yeah. I think you may have more.
Yeah.
You may have more truck guys than you do. He doesn't have a ride.
He doesn't have a ride yet.
I don't
Todd
think he's
doesn't
got
have
a ride.
They sold that team's going all Chevys
That's going
or
to
Fords. I'm sorry.
Not in truck. I don't think it's going. Well, I don't know. So, and I'm picking. In trucks, I'm picking. I've already forgotten. I wrote it. Forgot who it was.
I'd like to see. Timothy's got a good chance. Matt Crafton's got a hell of a chance. I think if he can keep his head about him.
That's the key there.
If he can keep his head about him.
Well, who we got on the phone there, Matt?
We have Ricky Carmichael, but he doesn't. I don't think
You don't
he's
have
got a
a
chance to
ride.
win.
You don't have
Yeah,
a ride.
The Bush brothers stuck his sponsor.
Bush took it away from him.
I thought he was going over to run trucks at Bush Brothers.
I think it was a
He
comment
was.
he made.
He was, and then Bush put Jason Luffler in that truck for a part
I
schedule.
didn't know that. I didn't know
14
that.
races.
Just
and then
14?
Kyle will run the rest. They've only got 23 in truck, I think, this year, races.
Yeah, I think it's 23 and down 2 races from last year. I think.
I think I picked Sauter to win the truck championship. I think that's right. I can't remember.
Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, I just wrote it this
That'd be a good
afternoon.
one.
No, bad thing is, I can't remember who won the deal. I just remember who got knocked
Austin
out
Dillon.
of the chance. That's right, Austin won it.
Austin
won
won
it.
trucks.
And then he's going to run nationwide
Yeah, I
full
knew that.
time
Ty's
this year.
coming over the
And
trucks.
Ty's coming over
Right.
the trucks.
Those are 2 really nice kids. They really are.
Great kids. Yeah,
I mean, I've only seen them at dirt tracks. I've never seen them at the asphalt tracks.
they're really good trucks. Okay, now back. I'm sorry. I got Al here. We do get distracted very easy. Matt Retal, right? Or Mike Retal?
Yeah, Mike Retal. Hey, greetings, Let's Talk Racing fans. And Matt and Roger, thank you very much for having me on the show.
No problem. Why don't you give us a little background on you and what you're trying to do?
Well, listen, listening to you talk about the racers, it's very impressive of all the accomplishments, all the racers you've made, you talk about have made, but few match the accomplishments that the McCullough racing family of Western Michigan have made over the past years of racing lawnmowers in Western Michigan. Each year, the McCullough family puts on a national United States Lawnmower Racing Association race to raise money for Huntington's disease. This disease has taken the lives of 6 members of their family, and my documentary, Onion Markets at Mo, will document the fact that they race for Huntington's disease and also provide significant insights what the disease is all about with interviews of medical professionals, a couple of congressmen, and Arlo Guthrie, who lost his father, Woody Guthrie, to Huntington's disease in 1967.
And actually, if I'm not mistaken, Arlo is actually inflicted with that right now.
Not that I'm aware of. When I talked to him, he seemed quite cognizant and not displaying any of the signs of Huntington's disease. And when I talked to him, he was 62, and odds are that if he was showing signs of HD, that he probably would have displayed those signs earlier than the age of 62. So I have not heard of anybody in the Guthrie clan, thankfully, showing symptoms of Huntington's disease.
Okay. Well, he was inflicted with something here a couple of years ago. I couldn't remember what it was. So now what are you trying to do? You're trying to make a movie, or is this a documentary?
Yeah, sure. It's a documentary. And guys, this will be the first public announcement of this. The film has been selected as part of the 2012 Washington, D.C. Independent Film Festival, which starts the very last day of February and runs for the first week of March. So On Your Mark Get Set Mo is an official selection of the 2002 D.C. Independent Film Festival. And, we're real excited about the opportunity to talk about the world of lawnmower racing. It's a little-known sport, and it gives, regular middle-class families the opportunity to compete, much in the way, the drivers that you talk about. And it also will shed a significant amount of light on Huntington's disease and what's being done to treat it. Right now, there's no cure for it, but there's, promising research being done on it.
So this is going to be about one family and their fight for the Huntington's disease, but also about lawnmower racing. Tell us a little bit about lawnmower racing. What does that entail? Can I take my Dixie chopper out there and run it?
Yeah, most of these people, it's a joke among the lawnmower racing community that what's the best mower to start out with, and the answer is a free one. Oftentimes these people will get started with just a mower that's like discarded by a neighbor, or something that they'll find like in the lawn ads for $50, and they'll go to letsmo.com and take a look at the information that's available and the rule book, and slowly but surely buy some parts here and there, and before you know it, or before you mow it rather, they're out on the track. So, it's a wonderful opportunity for just, regular middle-class families to do things, and it's a family sport. Men and women are treated equal. I interviewed a racer who was nearly 80 years old that was making his debut. He was a 79-year-old rookie. And teenage kids, 15, 16 years old, get involved with the sport, So it really is a wonderful family thing. It's very affordable to get into. And the United States Lawnmower Racing Association is the one of the governing bodies for the sport, like much of the way NASCAR is, the governing body for stock car racing.
There you go, Brian. You got a new sport. You can run at the track out there.
No, we ain't going to put no lawnmowers on a half-mile track. That'd be a little long. Believe it or not, though, they run some nice little tracks. You know, up in Pennsylvania the last 2 weeks at trade shows, there's some guys got some tricked-out looking lawnmowers. And I know there's somewhere in the rule it's supposed to be a mowing deck, and there's a deck under some of these, but there ain't no mowing deck.
Yeah,
I mean, they ain't got blades and stuff. They're not under there, but a lot of the rules, I know they say you have to have decks, but I mean, these guys got little Hoosier tires and everything up on these.
They're serious about it. But they don't run oval. You guys are running road courses, aren't you?
Yeah, well, they are. You know, I'm just telling the story. But one of the most beautiful tracks in the country happens to be in southern Maryland, at a place called Bowles Farm, and they'll pack about 1,500 spectators in there a day, and it really is a very exciting race, and that takes place in March, and that's the United States Lawnmower Racing Association National Points Race, and the national championship takes place about a half hour north of Columbus, Ohio, and you'll get about 120 mowers, 130 mowers from all over the country to vie for a national championship, and it really is a fun time. I grew up, being a big football and baseball fan, and really didn't know too much about motorsports. But I really have fallen in love with the lawnmower racing community because they don't race for prize money. There's this community that's fostered among the racers where everybody will want to help you out in the pit, but they want to beat you on the track. So there's this wonderful community of people sharing resources and information, oftentimes not all the information because they don't want to lose that competitive edge.
It sounds kind of like some dirt racers.
It sounds like any kind of racing. You help them a little bit, but you're not going to let them get so close. He was talking about somebody 80 years old. There's a man 80 years old still races.
You recognize who that is, Al?
Been running that same number forever.
Red Farmer?
Yeah, man. Still racing, still doing it.
He won a race this year.
Yeah, well, he's still running down Talladega Short Track. I mean. The ageless wonder.
You know who gave him that sponsorship, don't you?
Long Lewis?
No.
Well, which one?
The one on that car.
Oh, the one on that car comes from Tony.
Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Old Spice.
Well, but Long Lewis has been, that's been on his cars forever.
They've been there forever.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I want to understand about lawnmower racing. You still there?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay. The first NASCAR race ever, the drivers and crews, by rule, had to drive the car to the racetrack in Charlotte. It was a street legal, registered and inspected, I guess, licensed car. I don't think you should race a lawnmower unless it'll cut my grass and then go straight to the racetrack.
No, that probably would be a good idea. Among the sanctioning bodies, I mentioned the United States Lawnmower Racing Association, and there's the American Racer Motor Association, or ARMA. Among those two leading sanctioning bodies, safety is a paramount concern, and being a paramount concern, there's a whole list of rules and regulations, and the blades are taking off, and helmets and gloves and neck braces, and making sure that the racers are properly suited for the machines they're running on, because even though that there are EMTs at every race, we're hoping that the EMTs have a very long and boring day. So safety is a paramount concern among these organizations, and that's what makes it such a fantastic family opportunity to get together and share these experiences.
So when are we going to get this movie out? When are we going to see this?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. As I said, the film is been selected for the 2012 DC Independent Film Festival, which takes place in Washington, D.C. the first week in March. I've been working on this for 5 years, and I financed the lion's share of it out of my own pocket. But a couple of years ago, I lost my IT job and wound up spending the next couple of years just working odd jobs and doing what I can to keep a roof over my head. But I'm back in the IT business. But I've started a Kickstarter program. Kickstarter GameWorks.com is a website where people can, support artistic projects, and in exchange for their support, there's great things I'm giving away: beer koozies, T-shirts, and what have you. And if they want to see the trailer for the film and gain more information about lawnmower racing, I'd have them go to my website, which is mower, M-O-W-E-R, mowermovie.com. And please consider donating towards this project that will tell about lawnmower racing and Huntington's disease.
Man, now and that happens. I lock up every now and then. I'm sorry. Does that ever happen? You just have something on your mind and it just goes away?
I'm sorry. Do what?
What's the average age of the panel here today?
Easy now.
Yeah. We're all above 40. That's all we're going to say. So you're going to go straight to DVD with this movie?
What's that?
Are you going to go straight to DVD with this?
You know what? What's going to happen is that I'll screen the film at a number of film festivals, and hopefully get a distributor, and Lord only knows what's going to happen. It could go to cable TV, it could go straight to DVD. It could get perhaps a limited theatrical release. When I started this thing, I had no idea that I was going to be interviewing congressmen and Arlo Guthrie and traveling to 12 different states. So, pretty much right now I'm playing with the house money. The project's gotten to be a lot larger than it started out with. And, that's the case with many documentary films. You start following the subject matter and discover an interesting story and you just run with it, So the film will definitely do great service to those who are suffering Huntington's disease, and also it will show the community of lawnmower racers who rally around this cause.
Cool.
How long a season do you have?
How long a season do they have?
Yeah, when the lawnmower season, you certainly can't race this time of year in Michigan, I wouldn't think, but.
In Florida, you can. Through the United States Lawnmower Racing Association National Points Race later on this month. I think it's the weekend the 18th and the 19th in Tampa.
Oh, okay.
And there will be families from Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Pennsylvania, New Jersey traveling down there to get an early start on the points race.
God, cool. That kind of a national. That's it. I don't know. That's insane at best.
It's right now down in Florida, they're doing the Snowbird Nationals, which is RC cars,
Tony Stewart's big. He's got a company that manufactures them things.
Yeah, so hey, why not? Why not do it with them too? So, Mike, we're gonna get you on out of here because we got a couple more people calling in, and I still got to talk to Al. One of our viewers says that you are very sexy on air.
Oh boy. Oh, let me send them some.
One of these days, maybe not too distant future, you guys really ought to have United States Lawnmower Racing Association President Bruce Kaufman. He is a stitch. He will have you. Anytime I have an opportunity to talk to him, I never fail to laugh quite a bit and learn quite a bit at the same time. And he'd be a wonderful guest for your show.
We'll definitely get him on here, and good luck on your project. And get it done. Send us a copy. Maybe we can give you we can look it over for you.
A little review. Well, right now there's a couple of sample clips that people can find on mowermovie.com. MOWER movie.com. Mowermovie.com. And please consider a contribution to the Kickstarter program. And Matt and Roger, I can't thank you guys enough, buddies.
All right.
All right. Thanks for being on.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Did you do that right?
Yep, I did it right. Thank you.
The person who thinks I'm sexy, was that a man or a woman?
That was a woman.
Okay, good.
Oh man, I'm not even going to comment on that.
We're going to leave that. We're going to leave that one alone.
Who's this look like? Winning Super Bowl coach. Sunday, winning Super Bowl coach. Bill Belichick.
Belichick. Is that
I
who
haven't
you're
watched a
going
full
for?
football game since '95. I watched the most football I've watched since then when I watched New England beat Baltimore. When I watched the second half, I said that's most football for 17 years for me. I just can't. I can't watch a whole lot of stick and ball sports without aggravation.
I probably watched more this year than I think I ever have. And I'm a Kansas City fan, being from Kansas City.
That's
You had
understandable.
a long season.
I had a long season. The only thing that came good out of it is we broke
Beat Green Bay.
We beat Green Bay. So I was happy with that. So,
What happened to the old days when the main rivals of the Chiefs were the Raiders? Much like Washington and Dallas. I mean,
Neither one's any good anymore. So.
yeah, neither one of them.
In either
was good.
case, yeah.
I really did want to see Denver go all the way, just so everybody would shut up about Tebow.
Yeah.
well, I'm going to tell you
really
how
did.
bad it was. Up until 2 months ago, I had no clue who Tim Tebow was.
I didn't either. I really didn't.
I had to
Till they
ask
started-
somebody, you know.
You know what? And I didn't even care.
That's kind of like me.
All right, who else is going to be on
Here for
tonight?
racing.
We got Sam calling in about 5 minutes,
Okay.
and we got to talk. I want to find out about VMS this year.
Ask away. Of course, we have
Great racing facility, beautiful.
probably one of the top 5 dirt facilities in the country, and not bragging, it's a fact.
No, it's fact. We were just talking. You got the Lucas Oil late models coming
Lucas
in
Oil
twice this year.
Twice this year. Of course, we'll have an open practice 31st of March. And then our opening event is our biggest event of the year, the Commonwealth 100, this year sanctioned by Lucas Oil Late Models. It is a 100-lap A-main, paying $25,000 to win, $2,000 to start. Friday night will be time trials, qualifying heat races. Yes, we still heat race in dirt if you're not familiar
Thank you
with
very
dirt.
much.
Saturday night will be the B mains, the fill out the field, the 100-lap A main, and we also have a 30-lap non-qualifiers race that pays $3,000 to win, $300 to start.
And that's for pretty much, 24th and back into qualifying.
Well,
the way
you lock in the top 26 to go in the show. Your next 26 will go in the non-qualifiers race. 52 drivers have a chance to take green flag and race for money.
and race for money.
And we have consistently drawn drivers from as far south as Florida, Mississippi, as far west as, well, let me rephrase that, Tyler Reddick. If he comes in and he runs the last 2 years, run the Lucas Series, he's from California.
Yeah.
And, of course, Brian Burkhoff has been out for the first two from Muscatine, Iowa.
Muscatine, Iowa.
We got McCready and guys that come up from upstate New York. So drivers from all over the country and a lot of fans from all over the country. A lot of your big dirt late model shows are like the big modified shows used to be in the 60s. Everybody that wants to go will travel a bit to go to a big show. But the economy, the way it is, it's a little scary too,
You think any of the nationwide or cup guys will be out there playing?
The only time you might see somebody like that is when they're in the neighborhood running a cup car or something, or on an off week.
Yeah.
But you will have cup owned cars. Bobby Labonte, we've already got the entry for Earl Pearson, which is his one driver. Clint Boyer owns 2 cars that run the same series. This year, his driver is supposed to be Jonathan Davenport out of Georgia, and Jared Landers out of Arkansas, who was a rookie last year on the Lucas Series. Dale McDowell out of Georgia, who's been driving for Clint, is going to be doing a limited schedule and overseeing the other 2. And, of course, Tony's got his dirt late model, and Bill Elliott's got one. There's a lot of guys out there still playing. Steve Francis keeps one that for Ryan Newman to run from time to time.
Schrader? Schrader?
Kenny Schrader.
Oh, Schrader is the man. You figure he's, Peevely, I-55 Speedway in Peevely, Federated Auto Parts Speedway in Peevely, Missouri. Then him, Tony, Dale Jr., Bob Sargent are all involved in Paducah, Kentucky. Then you got Schrader, Stewart, Kenny Wallace, and Bob Sargent in Macon, Illinois with the track. And other dirt drivers are, NASCAR types involved in dirt racing. You've got Dave Blaney and his family with Sharon, Ohio, with the racetrack they have up there. And of course, Bill Sawyer, all the years they owned Richmond, he's involved. Both the Dillon boys, Ty and Austin, I asked Austin last year. I said, Granddaddy gonna make you get rid of the dirt stuff? He said, oh no. He said, we have too much fun when we race them. He said, we keeping the late models and the modifieds.
Yeah. Is Red Farmer going to be out?
Red Farmer basically stays pretty close to home these days, other than going out to Eldor for the Prelude. And I'm not sure that he went last year. I think he was there.
I think he was there. David Pearson's got a dirt late model that he runs.
David, of course, was good on dirt in his day. David was a good dirt driver.
Yeah.
Back when he drove for Cotton, other than the time at Richmond when Cotton decided to drive the backup car, the 5 car himself, and won the race, including beating Pearson. But we've got other special events that are coming up. May 19th, the Ultimate Series will be coming in for the Mid-Atlantic Spring Championship. That's a 10,000 to win show. The Ultimate Series is a series based out of the South. Stan Lester and his group that also run Fast Track, the crate stuff.
The crate motor stuff.
Well, there's a CT525 crate motor that's used in this, as well as the open motors, weight brake, spoiler, height difference. And when we come back at the end of the year in September, our final show of the event on the Oval is 15th and 16th for the USA 100, which is a Lucas-sanctioned event, but it's kind of a unique deal. 2 25-lap qualifiers and a 50-lap A main. That one pays $20,000 to win. And we also have, since we got a little bit of everything, if y'all have lawnmowers, we can have mud bogs. We have 2 mud bogs a year, one in June, one in October. The one in October, anybody thinks I'm fibbing to them or lying, whatever you want to say, all I got to do is go look on our website, some of the photos from last year. The one in October, 190-some entries from 4 states and close to 5,000 spectators for a mud bog. And I guarantee you, working, being back and forth all over the facility that day, I didn't see 20 people that would be at the stock car track. It's a whole different crowd, a whole different everything.
And that's some very unique racing.
It is kind of crazy. In fact, Dennis Anderson, Chesapeake, Virginia native, gravedigger fame. Of course, the first gravedigger was a truck, and it was a mud truck.
Yep.
Well, Dennis has a new mud truck, and he ran with us in October, King Sling. And let me tell you something. That man he's all crazy, but he's all business. All day long, nothing but signing stuff for fans, selling souvenirs, everything he brought with him, he sold out of.
Yeah. Well, and he's got 2 sons. His youngest is now running.
Ryan is doing some monster truck stuff. He's been running mud bogs with us ever since we've had our first one. Yeah. Son of a digger. Yeah. And Adam is full-time monster trucks.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to have the land that we have, and when Clark laid out, which is our general manager, Clark Sawyer, Bill's nephew, laid out the mud bog deal, we utilized what is normally our outside pit area. That becomes our spectator parking area.
Yeah.
And then the mud bog field is there, so we're not on anywhere in the stock car facility to speak of. And last year we had overflow in park, and they filled up that 8.5-acre surface-coated pit area. And we're out in what's normally the pit area parking for the people who walk in the pits.
And I will attest to this, because I've been there and I love coming up there. I don't get to come up enough. At night, it's daylight. I've never seen a dirt track have so many lights in such a... Have you ever been up?
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful facility.
Well, the thing
well kept, groomed.
The thing that irritates me, and I go to a lot of tracks throughout over the country, work at some other events, and I try to always go to 1 or 2 new tracks a year. It's just the kind of thing. But and I won't mention track. You're sitting in the stands. Track's lit fine, but instead of having the light poles back behind the stands to help light the spectator area as well as this track, the track's lit and you are dark. I mean, it's dark in the stands,
yep.
And or you go to some and it looks like somebody's got flashlights up in a pole for lights.
I was talking to, and I won't mention the track, but we were talking about a track kind of south of here. It's got 1 light, and it's in the center.
And I raced on that track when I run micro sprints.
Okay.
It was 3/10 of a mile then.
Yeah.
And it was 1 light pole, dead center, but it lit the racetrack.
It lit the racetrack. It probably wasn't enough lighting, but it lit the
I raced there back in the 90s, so I know the track you're speaking of very well.
The pits and everything, it's a beautiful facility, and Bill has just done an awesome job. You've got, now this year you're going to have, late models, steel-headed late models.
Well, we have, I think, in my way of thinking, we have the best core group of drivers in the Mid-Atlantic region in our weekly late models. I mean, we've spawned such drivers out of our weekly division as Jamie Latham, who's since gone on to win an All-Star Circuit Champions, Max, 3 State Flyers, World of Outlaw late models, and the UFO Series. Austin Hubbard, who went on to be World of Outlaw Rookie of the Year and winning that series, he's running Lucas Oil Series this year. He was our track champion at age 15 in 2007.
Yep. Brett Robinson ran with the World of Outlaws.
Brent ran with us when we started. Went from legend cars, started running limited late models with us, and then went to full-blown super late models.
Yep.
And has come a long way, and not a nicer group of people than him and his family. They've done exceptionally well. And we've got a lot of second and third generation drivers at the Speedway. And just in the time that Bill has owned the facility, we have seen in some cases where the kids that were scraping the mud off Dad's race car, now the ones driving and Dad's scraping the mud off.
Yeah, and it's coming that circle. And I remember talking to
that's the one thing I really like about dirt racing. At the majority of the tracks, if you sign a miners release and you buy them a pit pass, everybody can go in the pits. And it is such a family atmosphere at most dirt tracks in the pit area because most everybody's got their families with them.
Yep.
And the families involved.
Late models, modifieds.
Sportsman, which is a perimeter chassis car, kind of like an asphalt late model, except less weight, more horsepower. And our limited stocks, which is our entry-level division, our street stocks, as some people call them, can be some of the greatest racing we have, because I mean, I've got pictures of guys coming off corner 4 and 5 wide in this division, and they're usually just constantly swapping positions back and forth. Is usually the best race of the night's the last one. Those guys put on a heck of a show.
Yep. There's good racing throughout the whole series that you have there.
Well, I mean, modifieds, when we put them on dirt, which is actually where the E-mods or the open wheel modifieds that run this area now, started on dirt in the Midwest, IMCA, UMP. When we started running them at VMS first year, we had 8 cars. The next year, we had over 39 cars pre-registered for the season started. And slowly, everybody's gotten away from the 3-link setup, the chassis setups of the asphalt cars, and have all gone to 4-bar cars, true dirt cars. And last year, the USA 100, we got rained out on Saturday, forced into Sunday rain date. Well, because we got forced into Sunday, this young lady from West Virginia, Dina Groves, she'd raced somewhere Saturday night. She saw that we'd been rained out. She went home. They were checking on the internet and wanted to know who won our 30-lap show. And when they saw that it had been postponed to Sunday and weather wasn't calling for any rain, her and her dad loaded up and they took off to come to VMS because she's a young girl, but she says that was on her bucket list of a track she wanted to race at.
Cool.
And that, you know, when you're coming down for a 3,000 to win race and you're driving 9 hours from where she's at in West Virginia, that's
a big deal.
You know, it is to me, and it's a lot of guys I'll meet in different tracks like down in Carolina and stuff. They emphasize they want to come run with us. They want to come run with us. But every track, even though all the tracks in the region now all run 358 engine rules, some of them are not. We run steel block, steel heads. Some of them run aluminum heads. Some of them run different carburetor setups. And, you know, some of that, you know, and that makes a change. But we have, like I say, we get guys come in from Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and occasionally Delaware on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Well, back in the day in the super lates,
Les Hare come down from Pennsylvania.
Came down from
3 years.
Pennsylvania for 3 years in a row. Chuck Finch.
Chuck Finch was down here in Southern Virginia.
Booper Bear from up in the mountains. Rockbridge Bass.
Him and his dad both were track champions at that speedway.
Yeah. So, and Sam, I know we got you on there. We're just trying to. I got some buddies of yours here.
Okay, no problem, man.
Let's yield to the artist and superstar. I gotta ask you something, Mr. I gotta ask you something, Sam. First time you went to a racetrack and got your way in to show your artwork, where were you at?
That would be Talladega, Alabama.
All right, the very first time you went in the garage area?
The very first time I went into a garage area, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Richmond, Virginia is the very first time at Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway was the very first time I actually got to display my art.
That's the one I was looking for right there.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole period of time I'm talking about right there was within 2 weeks, essentially. I had actually went out to the Fairgrounds Raceway and met with Paul Sawyer earlier before I made the trip down to Talladega in August. It's when they used to run the race there in August, the second race. And Mr. Sawyer had taken me back into his office and let me sit down and present my artwork to him. I was a nervous wreck, and I asked him if I could show my artwork there at the Speedway, and he was kind enough to give me a garage pass and everything else. So I was set up for the Richmond race, which of course was my home track. But during that period of time, I was able to go with a buddy of mine that I worked with down to Talladega, Alabama, and I stood out in that hot August Talladega sun for about 4 hours trying to get into the garage area, and I was able to get in there and get my painting that I'd done signed by my hero Bobby Allison. So that worked out really well. And then I come back and got a chance to display my artwork at the Speedway in the garage area later in September. So you were right, pretty close.
Well, I know the story only because I worked for Paul Sawyer's son, Bill.
Oh yeah.
And one other thing, how's your brother Rick doing?
Rick is doing great, man. He's doing good. We hang out and everything, and Rick has a really good lawnscape service that he runs, and he's doing very well. I'll tell him for sure that you asked. But the Sawyers are very near and dear to my heart, because I'm gonna tell you one thing. Whenever I went back there to meet with Paul Sawyer, I mean, I was just as nervous as I could be, and that guy was just so kind to me and giving me a really, really big break, and I have nothing in the world but respect for those guys.
They're a great family to be around with, and
well, I think of like three, NASCAR Hall of Fame. I mean, they need to, they got a good concept. They need to revamp some things. I personally think they need to possibly bring a lot of the guys from the Weatherly Museum in Darlington and bring them in as a pioneer thing, as somebody else had mentioned. But three people, promoters, that I think about that were with Bill France Sr. in the early days when nobody knew if they were going to, was Paul Sawyer, Enoch Staley, and H. Clay Earls. Those are some people that the selection committee needs to be looking at outside the realm of drivers.
Yep. Well, I think Clay Earls was on the list.
Yeah.
I don't think he got voted to the point. He was on the
nomination list. Sam, we've also got Al Pearce sitting here with us, and you already got to talk to Brian here, and I don't know if you've heard, but we have a Hall of Fame inductee for our here. Al got inducted this year.
Oh, wow.
Into the Virginia Sports. I've been corrected on that.
Yeah.
Sam, I saw you on a media tour last week a number of times that we never got a chance to speak, so
hi. It was crazy, wasn't it? There was so much packed into that media tour. It was amazing. It was really, really a good time and very informative.
Yeah, a lot of it. I wish it had been more racing and less business talk, but I know that's the way things are now.
Well, that's for sure. That's a big part of it. I tell you one thing that I really enjoyed was the Ford unveiling of the new 2013 car. I mean, I thought that was there was a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz in that room, and not every press conference you go to is like that. And I thought that was really, really informative, and I thought it was a really great looking car.
I'll be curious to see what the Dodges and Chevrolets and Toyotas look at. I think they're testing Homestead maybe today and tomorrow, something like that. So
yeah.
And I'm sure somebody will sneak a picture out of there.
I thought they were down testing at Disney World.
Homestead.
Oh, okay. I saw some clip the other night.
And it was supposed to be a private. It's a private test.
Yeah, but somebody will sneak a picture out.
They always do.
Somebody will use a cell phone or something.
Yeah.
Sam, I need to ask you a favor.
Yes, sir.
And it won't take but a second. No, it won't. No. It won't. It will not take but a second. I have got a helmet that the NFL gave me that is signed by all but maybe 4 Super Bowl winning coaches. I've got a few I still need to get, but anyway, when I get all these Super Bowl winning coaches on this helmet, I'm going to give it to Joe Gibbs. He's going to use it to raise funds for the Joe Gibbs Foundation, and he's going to give part of that money to the Victory Junction Gang camp.
Right.
I've got about 2 signatures that have been a little bit smudged by the next guy who took it and signed his name.
Right.
I need somebody who's got a pretty good hand who can take a Sharpie and sort of go over where the smudge is. You can tell what it's supposed to be, but it's smudged a little bit. And I will, if I could talk to you at the media tour, I was going to ask you if maybe at some point in time, if I come to Charlotte or in Daytona next in 2 weeks, maybe if I show you what this coach's signature is, you'll be able to see what it should be and kind of make it look like it was.
Yeah, no problem.
And again, this is a 100% legitimate charity deal. Yeah. I don't make a nickel off of it. In fact, as my wife has pointed out, it's costing me an arm and a leg at times to go to every NFL city to get Bill Belichick and Mike Ditka and Don Shula and people like that. But I'm afraid that if I've got a couple of signatures that are a little bit smudged, they may, the buyer will still buy it, but I'd like it to be as good as I can make it. So I may speak to you in Daytona or come to Charlotte after Speed Week, and maybe we can, and I'll certainly pay you for it. No issue, because you're a professional, and I would not expect you to work for nothing, just like I don't work for nothing, or try not to. So anyway, that's something we'll talk about.
Right, yeah, I'm sure I could help you out on that. When I was at VCU, one of my requirements to graduate with a fine arts degree was I took a semester of art restoration, and that was really a handy thing to learn and to know, and that comes in handy for things such as what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now you're from Richmond, is that correct?
Yeah, I grew up in Hopewell,
Hopewell,
Virginia.
okay.
Was born in Colonial Heights, Virginia, and moved to Hopewell when I was about 7 years old, and that's when my uncles that I went to go live with, they took me to Southside Speedway that summer that I moved in with them and with my mom, and that's how I got my whole racing career started, I guess, because from that first racing experience going to Southside Speedway, man, I was hooked, and I've been a fan for the 43 years since that time. So it's a really great life and career that just being a race fan has brought to me, and I feel very blessed.
Yeah, your career and mine pretty much parallel, because I started covering racing for the newspaper down in Newport News here in 1969.
Right.
Which was about the same time you went to Southside, it sounds like.
Sure was, absolutely, yes, sir.
Because this is my 44th Daytona 500 coming up, but I had started a little bit before that, and I used to go to Southside on Friday nights back when it was Ray and Sonny and Tommy and Bill Dennis and Bugs Harefield and those guys, the same guys that you probably used to watch from the grandstand maybe. I was down in the pits talking to them, or talking to Mr.
J.M. Wilkinson.
Mr. Wilkinson, yeah, and then Joe Baldassi. So it looked like your drawing career and my writing career kind of run parallel.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. And, and you look back at the talent that was at Southside Speedway, it was amazing. I mean, those guys, Sonny Hutchins and Ray Hendrick, I mean, that was amazing battles that those guys put on every week. And then, of course, you had Lenny Pond and everything, and it was, phenomenal.
Can't forget two-time modified champion Eddie Krause was there in the early 60s.
And then Jeff Bodine came down and drove a team car for Emmanuel with Sonny.
Yep.
And they used to come. What I would do is I'd go to Southside on Friday night to get a story to put in the Saturday morning paper because Langley was on Saturday night. So I would go to Southside on Friday night, Langley on Saturday night, jump in a car with Randy Hallman or somebody, and take off to a cup race on Sunday. And many weekends I saw 3 races, and Randy and I would occasionally leave from Langley on Saturday night, and we would drive to Talladega. And we would cover Talladega. Now you pick up an hour going over there, which was good, and we would go to Talladega and cover a Talladega race, jump in a car and come back up 85, through Atlanta, and we do Southside, Langley, and Talladega on the same weekend. That was nothing. We did that without even breathing hard. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I've seen, like you, Sonny and Ray and Bill and Tommy Ellis and Redfoot and that crowd. I mean, they were, and then Bugs Harefield and Ted and then Bugs, and then Ray and then Roy and then Emmanuel and then Butch tried to race a while.
Bill Dennis and
Ricky,
Dennis. Ricky Dennis.
Anyway, Sam, I'll talk to you at Daytona about this little project, and I'll show you what I've got. And it's not difficult. My wife is an artist of some sort, not nearly as talented as you, and she said, "Hey, I'd rather not try that." I said, "Well, I know the guy who can do it." So we'll chat at Daytona about it.
All right, bud. Sounds good. Well, you guys are having a real good show tonight, and I always enjoy being on with you, so I appreciate you taking the time to have me on there tonight. I got a lot of exciting things going on this year that I can't wait to get down to Daytona and get things started.
We're going to put you on the spot now. If you've been watching this stuff for 43 years like I have,
yes, sir.
Who's going to be the Cup champion? Who's going to be the nationwide champion? And who's going to be the truck champion?
I did it to Al earlier, Sam.
Wow, man, that is tough.
I know. That's why. Hey, you're a pro. That's why we're giving you the hard questions.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got to tell you, man, the Cup Championship is probably the toughest one there to call of all of them. I mean, it was so competitive this year. I think we really witnessed the as far as I can ever remember, the most amazing points battle you've ever seen. And I think it could obviously just have easily been Carl Edwards as Tony Stewart. It was amazing the performance that Tony put on. But I got to feel like for the championship this year, it's gonna be between the same 2 guys. I think it's gonna be between Tony and Carl again.
That would make me happy.
And I just think through sheer drive and determination that Carl is going to be a tough one to deal with, and this will probably be his year.
Yeah.
So that one right there, that one's kind of a tough one to call, but I definitely see those 2 guys running right up front and contending for the championship down to the wire again. As far as nationwide goes, wow, that is.
Why don't you take your homeboy? Why don't you take Elliott Sadler?
I was just getting ready to say that I thought Elliott was really, really impressive last year, and he's such a great guy, and I know how bad he wants it. And I think he learned a lot of things last year about racing in the Nationwide Series and what he's got to do for the championship. And I think that he is going to be the champion, and I think Austin Dillon is going to be right in there with him in the hunt for the championship his first year.
Yeah, Austin will be Rookie of the Year, no question about that. I can't imagine anybody else being Rookie of the Year in Nationwide.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I was so impressed with Austin last year. Just the way he won that championship in the trucks and everything, and how he did it and how he matured so much during the course of the year. He would not at all surprise me to be just like Dale Jr. was when Dale Jr. came into the Busch Grand National Series in 98 and 99. It wouldn't surprise me one bit to see Austin win the championship. So the trucks, you know, I'm going to tell you, the trucks, that one is really, really tough to call. I just don't know, you know, who is going to be the favorite there. I think there's so many things that are falling into place, and you know, I don't think you can ever count Hornaday out. You know, I think the world of Ron Hornaday, and I think, you know, you're hard pressed to find a better driver out there. And with Austin, you know, moving over to Nationwide and everything, I would have to say Ron Hornaday would be my pick for the championship there.
Let me run this by you. The guy who finished third in points last year in the trucks finished third in points and still missed a race. James Busher would have gone to Homestead within, I think, I figured out maybe 8 or 10 points of Austin. James Busher missed Phoenix and still finished third in points. I got to think he's going back to the same team. Hornaday's with a brand new team. Ty Dillon is really good, but I don't, you know, he's going to be a rookie. That's the guy I couldn't remember earlier for the panel up here. I picked James Busher to win the trucks based on how good he was last year and how hard they raced, knowing they were a race behind, and came close. Came close.
You're absolutely correct on that. That's a really, really good call.
And one more question. We'll make this an easy on you.
Okay.
Can Danica Patrick win a nationwide race? She gets 33 shots at it. There will not be that many Cup drivers in the fields this year. She's got good equipment. She's run top 5 and top 8 before. Can Danica win a nationwide race?
I think absolutely she can win a nationwide race.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, last year the races at Daytona, she was incredibly impressive in, particularly the first ARCA race.
Yes.
She ran. I think in many ways that was her best race of the year. I mean, but she was competitive at times when she had really, really good equipment. You know, and it was running in the packs and everything the way she was. I mean, I was very impressed with her last year, and I think absolutely she can win a race next year in her rookie year. I believe so.
And she will be the most popular driver.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about that.
Yeah, I think she will. Yeah. In that series, I believe so. You know, and I would not be at all surprised to see her be very impressive at Daytona to start the season.
Yeah, in the cup car, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, people like to discredit her for one reason or another, but I'm gonna tell you what, she's been doing this too long and been too good to be a fly-by-night person that you can't take seriously.
Well, what I like, she doesn't say anything. She doesn't go out and write a check and then have to go out and cash it. I'm here to learn. She's very humble what she says.
Right.
And she's not doing anything to dig a hole for herself before you get started. And the only thing that upset me is when she finished 4th. And they said the first woman in a NASCAR touring division to finish top 5, and I about choked. Going Shauna Robertson won 2 dash races, and that was a touring division. It was NASCAR sanctioned.
Pocosin native, one at Langley.
Diane Teal.
Yeah,
but she didn't win in a touring division.
Well, that's true.
She won a NASCAR.
For all of us that don't know, and I know we haven't said his name yet, we have Sam Bass on the phone. and you just got back from the media tour deal, and you had some great announcement with Jeff Gordon this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did. I was very, very proud to unveil the 20 years car, is what we're calling it, and we unveiled that at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and I was very proud because I have been the chief designer for Jeff Gordon since he came into the sport back in 1992 in the Cup Series, and to have been his designer for all of his DuPont cars, his base paint schemes for DuPont over the years. I mean, that was a tremendous feeling of pride to be associated with him and his career and all his accomplishments and all the great things DuPont has done for this sport. For them to have kept me around for 20 years designing for him, it was a true honor, and I am so proud of that car, and it has gotten such great reaction from the fans and everything else along the way. So it was a real proud moment for me to unveil that car with Jeff at the Hall of Fame.
That's almost like that. I'm sure. I'm not sure. I would guess that your emotion at getting asked to do that would be very similar to a writer being approached by Jeff, and Jeff says to this guy, "I want you to do my biography."
Yeah.
I mean, to be picked out. I mean, obviously you are the preeminent artist in motorsports, but I can just imagine how I would feel to have Jeff Gordon ask me to do something like that from a writing perspective. I want you to be my biographer, as he told you. I want you to be my car designer for 20 years. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, and I've been so fortunate in my career. I mean, I love doing what I'm doing. I've met so many wonderful people like Sawyers I mentioned earlier that have given me a chance to do something for them, and I've done my best, and that's led to other opportunities, and that's what it's about. I mean, I tell people all the time that, I've never had this big major business plan or didn't really have a roadmap to how I would get from, point A to point B or whatever, to be honest with you. But I've always, operated on the principles of, just two things, and that's do the absolute best work that I can and treat people absolute best that I can. And everything else just seems to take care of itself. And with Jeff, I mean, for example, I met him at the little bar and grill that we used to have here in Concord called the Sandwich Construction Company.
Oh yeah,
and,
oh yeah.
And I had a bunch of my paintings hanging around there, and Jeff has told the story several times that he used to go into the Sandwich Construction Company and look at my paintings, and he thought it was so cool that I was going to be designing his first car for DuPont. And that resulted from, a meeting with Ray Evernham when they first put that deal together. And Ray came by my studio and said, he wanted to pick out a birthday present for Jeff Gordon. And he picked out one of my Charlotte Motor Speedway program cover prints that I'd done. And he said, "How much do I owe you for that print?" And I simply told him, I said, "Listen, Ray," I said, "you can have the print." I said, "Just do me a favor. Just ask the Hendrick Motorsports people if they'll give me a chance to design the car for DuPont for Jeff Gordon." I said, "I'm real excited about that deal, and with DuPont being a paint company, that would be a great fit for an artist." And Ray thought that was really cool. So lo and behold, a couple months later, Ray Evernham remembered that and called me up and gave me the shot. And I'll never be able to thank him enough and repay him enough for doing that. That was incredible. And I submitted my artwork, and it went up against 43 other agencies and people and artists and different people that had been asked to kind of offer up their thoughts and everything. And hands down, people picked out the car that became known as the Rainbow Warrior, and that's what started, my whole relationship with DuPont, and I just could not be more proud of that. And Jeff has been, I've watched Jeff go from a little kid with a mullet and a mustache to being a 4-time NASCAR champion, winning 85 races, and just being the role model for the new generation of drivers. There was everybody else, and then all of a sudden there was Jeff Gordon, and I've just been very thrilled and honored to be along for that ride. I mean, in some small way. I mean, it's just been an amazing thing to see.
Yeah. Let me ask Sam one. Let me make one comment to Sam.
Go ahead.
You mentioned earlier that Danica has never done anything to discredit her or her name, and still a lot of people don't like her. And I think I know what that is. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the deal is that a lot of male fans look at her and they say, why does she deserve this ride when I can name 15 or 18 or 20 Saturday night dirt track or paved track late model guys who have invested way more than she has, and they're not getting the opportunity she is. Now, that's not to say that she has done anything wrong to get where she is, but I think a lot of hardcore redneck beer swigging, you know what I'm talking about. Those people don't like her because they feel like she's getting something that a young male driver should be getting and is not.
Basically taking away a ride.
Taking a ride from somebody who's been out there working, 10 or 12 years to get where he is and has never gotten beyond late model or trucks or even nationwide, and yet she walks into one of the best deals going. I think there's some hard feelings there, and believe me, and you've met her, Sam, and you've been around her, she is absolutely wonderful in public appearances and with the media.
Yeah, she is. I agree with what you said, and I think the other part of that is I think a lot of people are simply jealous as they can be of her and her accomplishments, because she hands down has it all. I mean, she's beautiful, she's well spoken, she can obviously drive. If you want to get on, the subject, I mean, about, guys all over at local dirt tracks and this and that and what have you, hey, life is not always fair to everybody, and there's certain things that, people bring to the table that you look at and you go, okay, is she attractive? Is she marketable? Can she be competitive and everything like that? And the answer to every time is yes. And if that is going to be something that is, she covers all the bases, then that gives her an edge over maybe somebody that, if you just break it down to how many female drivers and the novelty of female drivers goes, she's head and shoulders above the crowd in that. And then you contrast that against how many male drivers there are, and there's, 100,000 guys that think they could drive a race car. There's an extra added advantage she brings to marketability and promotional value things. And right, wrong, indifferent, I mean, you never know. I mean, you could go to any racetrack across the country and you could pull out some talented people and put them in a race car, and they might be the next Tony Stewart or Jeff Gordon. You just never know. But every year, hundreds of those guys don't get a chance, and they may never get a chance. But, I don't think, I agree with what you said 100% out, that girl is professional. She's always very, very well spoken. All the time, I judge drivers a lot of times on how they treat their fans. I like to see how drivers interact with their fans and what they do and how approachable they are or whatever. And she is very, very good to her fans.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes there's way too many fans around her for her to even have a chance at getting to all of them. But But I tell you what, she does a good job, and she deserves this chance. She deserves this opportunity. And I think in the long run, I firmly believe that she's going to really, really make a lot of people eat crow. I really do.
Yeah, let me say one more thing, then I'm going to go, because I don't mean to monopolize the show, but I know from a media perspective, from the job I do, the first time I ever dealt with her, it was in one of these big group sessions where there's 50 writers standing around a table at Daytona, and she's sitting in a chair, and she's got a microphone, and everybody's yelling questions at her. And I noticed right away, Sam, that no matter where the person was in the room who asked the question, she made it a point to look at that person eye to eye and give that person the answer. She didn't wear sunglasses. She didn't look over their heads. She would actually move around in her chair to sort of get a look at whoever asked the question. And I thought to myself, somebody has taught this lady really well, because the way to get the media on your side to some extent is to treat them like it's a one-on-one,
right?
Not a 1-on-50. And
right.
she would look around the corner and she'd say, "I'm sorry, where are you now? Oh yeah, there you are." And she'd look right at the guy and give him a great answer, and the guy felt like it's just the two of us.
Yep.
And you don't get that. You can't. Me as a media guy, you can't dislike somebody for showing that much interest in my job.
Right. Exactly.
And I think she, I get a little bit tired of NASCAR shoving her down our throat, but then I think, you know what? I'm glad she's here.
Yeah.
I really do, and I think, and I hope, Sam, I hope you get an opportunity to do work for her, because man, you'd make her look even better than she is. And that would challenge your VCU skills to make her look better than she is, because she looks pretty good right now.
With you. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Al. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I can make her look good for those commercials.
I don't know. I pay homage to her every week.
Yeah.
Every Thursday, Brian puts a Danica post up there.
I can't wait to watch the Super Bowl commercials Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be good.
All right, listen, I got to go. Can I leave?
Get out of here, Al.
Sam, listen, nice to talk to you again.
Nice talking to you too, buddy.
I'll chat with you at Daytona and show you what I need, and
all right.
Maybe in a matter of moments you can make it look like it hadn't been smudged at all. And again, Joe Gibbs will give half the money to his foundation. The Petty Camp will get the other half, and we will have helped a lot of kids.
That sounds great. Thank you, Al.
Thanks, Sam. Take care.
Uh-huh.
Sam, get out of here, Al. We're going to get Al out of the way here.
This should be my show, right? You guys don't even need to show up.
Man, I didn't even need to show up tonight. You just took it over. We were just sitting here, Brian and I were just sitting here, and we were going through some old pictures, and we were reminiscing.
That's me at Southside, 1963, for the last Cup race that was held there.
For the last Cup race. Were you there, Sam?
The last Cup race was held where now?
Southside Speedway. It was Grand National then, 1963.
No, I wasn't. I would have been 2 years old then. So
I was 5.
Wouldn't have made that.
I was 5. I went to Southside first time when I was 3 years old.
But, what got me to thinking here, Sam, is, and looking through these old pictures and all that, how often do you go back and look at some prints and go, man, I remember? Do you ever get a chance to do that?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I've got my gallery here across the street from Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of people come by and check it out. And since I worked here in my office and studio is here at the gallery, I often come out and lead tour groups and walk them through behind the scenes here at the gallery, take them through my office and my studio and everything else, and talk about all of my old prints and things I've done throughout my career. And it's really, you're always living in the moment. You're always working on the project at hand. But whenever I walk people through here and show them, not only my artwork, but a lot of the memorabilia and photos and different things I've collected as a fan over the years, you're forced to kind of stop and think, you know, about what all you have been involved with, what you've worked on, who you've met, and stuff. And that, as a race fan first, who happens to be an artist, that is just such a thrill for me, because, you know, I've really had the opportunity to meet a lot of really cool people and do a lot of neat things. I'm very grateful to have had the opportunities I have.
I'll tell you, too, some of my favorite cars you designed were actually, they were so simple in some ways, yet they were cool. The Miller cars, when you did Stivolers for Hillen and Allison, and I believe, if I recall right, I may be wrong on this one, you did for Junior when the first year he had Daryl and Neil both in the car, when they were matching except for the numbers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, both of those I thought were a great car as far as what they did for their, you know, as far as the product showing the sponsor off.
Yeah.
And in a theme with them, but they were simple yet very nice looking.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. You know, I say my career started with the Miller cars for Bobby Allison and then Bobby Hill, and the first time that my hero Bobby Allison drove the first paint scheme I created for him, he went out and won the Daytona 500 in it, and that was really cool. But going back, you know, I did get the opportunity to design for Warner Hodgson whenever he was sponsoring, whenever he was owning with Junior, that the Budweiser cars for Daryl and Neil. And I was a college student at BCU, and I did those things. And that was just like almost an out-of-body experience to have the chance to be doing something on that level when I was still going to college. I was only in my second year of college at that point, and it was pretty amazing.
Man, if I get down to Charlotte in November for the World Finals, I'm going to have to go over and look at Sam's stuff.
Yeah, and now you've had some very, you know, and you just brought up a good point. You go back that far. Yeah, Jeff Gordon, you've done work for Dale Earnhardt, you've done work for Hendricks. You do a lot of other smaller guys, too, that a lot of people don't. You do a lot of artwork for a lot of smaller guys, don't you?
Yeah, I do. You know what? One of the things I've been very, very fortunate with over the years is you know, to work with NASCAR's diversity program. Some of these guys, when they're just getting started, you know, I've just finished some stuff working on for Steve Arpin and Chad Hockenbrock. They run in ARCA, and Ryan Reed, who's running ARCA this year. I love helping these guys whenever they're getting started in their careers, because I did the same thing for Jimmy Johnson. I did the same thing for Kerry Earnhardt, and you know, I love meeting these guys when they're coming up. You know, the first cars for Earnhardt's kids. I mean, for Kelly, Dale Jr. and Kerry, I was able to design that stuff because I'd done so much stuff for their dad. And you know, it's really gratifying to work with these young racers and to help them out, you know, when they're coming up, because so many of them go on to, you know, major success. I designed Tony Stewart's first Rookie of the Year car. I did Jimmy Johnson's first Cup car, and you know, you look back on that and you're thinking, wow, you know, this is just amazing, because who knew? I mean, you know, when I sat in my conference room literally with Jimmy Johnson, and he'd gotten his first motor coach, you know, when he joined with Hendrick and started running the Cup Series. And Jimmy come over here with his dad and said, you know what, we don't like his paint scheme on this motor coach at all, but we can't repaint it because we just don't have the budget for it. Could you do something to it that'll make it look better? And I went over there with him and looked at the motor coach and everything. I said, well, it just needs some red outlines and stuff like this. And basically, I did all that stuff for gratis for Jimmy Johnson, who wasn't even a rookie on the circuit yet. And to see that guy win 5 championships in a row and be as successful over the past years that he has been, you just can't believe that you were able to meet him and work with him and do something like that before anybody knew it.
Exactly.
I interviewed Jimmy Johnson, Orange County, North Carolina, back in 1998 when he was running ASA.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I got sent down there, he ran a handful of late model stock races in the Virginia, Carolina area the year before.
Yeah.
And somebody with the paper I wrote for him and said, and he's got a damn credit card, Chevrolet, blah, blah. He was already under contract to Chevrolet then. And I went down there, like I said, I was sent down to interview Jimmy Johnson. It was, one of the easiest interviews I've ever did other than Robbie Gordon.
Yep.
And, it was a neat deal. No, now you got to get Ray Everham let you design his wife's sprint car. Aaron needs a little more color on that sprint car.
Yeah, well, you know what? I did quite a bit of stuff for Erin whenever she was running for General Mills and the Betty Crocker sponsorship and everything. I did all of her trucks and her I guess Busch Grand National cars and stuff at that point. Erin's a wonderful, talented racer as well, and just certain things didn't come together for her as far as her NASCAR career. But man, I mean, I really thought that she was going to be the one that was just really going to put the female racers, on the map, because they had all the pieces of the puzzle there, and it just didn't seem to to come together and everything for one reason or another. But what a wonderful person!
I tell you, I've been fortunate. Like I say, short tracks, all different places, and you talk about female drivers. I know a lot that run modifieds, dirt late models. Sprint cars, and it's an interesting evening because I know some females that can get the job done against the males with no problem, and it's coming. They just got to accept the fact. Like I say, I'm a big Danica fan because I wanted to prove all the naysayers wrong. Plus, with Danica Thursday on my Facebook page, it's turned into quite of a cult following. I don't think she'll accept me as friends afterwards.
I tell you what, and I've met a lot of the female drivers and stuff that have been coming up, and I know Shauna Robinson, and when Patty Moise was racing and everything else, it was always nice to see her and talk to her. Everybody just can't sit behind a wheel and drive a race car. And my hat's off to them for getting to the levels that they all get to, because, I mean, it's a very, very tough thing. But I will tell you right now, I mean, I get tired of hearing people, really dissing on Danica Patrick, because, yeah, she is covered a lot and presented a lot and different things like this, but, I really feel like with what she's done, she's earned her right. She's earned her right to be here. She's earned her right to compete in the equipment and with the caliber of people that she's out there with, and I think she's handled herself really, really well. And I think she's the first of many, many female drivers to come, because you see, when you go see the quarter midgets and you go see the go-karts and you go see all the entry-level series on the short tracks across this country, there are tons of female drivers coming up through the ranks. And it's just a matter of time before we have, 10 to 12 of them out there. I don't think it'll be that long.
Yeah, it's coming. Well, everybody keeps forgetting about Janet Guthrie. She came down in 1976.
77, ran for Rookie of the Year, lost out. She was one of 3 rookie drivers, Sam Summers, Janet Guthrie, and the Rookie of the Year winner that year, Ricky Rudd of Chesapeake.
Ricky Rudd,
that's right.
They weren't hardly letting women into pits back then, and she came down into a male-dominated sport.
I was more impressed.
And did good.
She
did very well.
Janet ran the full schedule, including the half mile at Richmond.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that Kelly Girl car.
Kelly Girl number 68.
Kelly Girl car, yeah.
Yeah. So, and she can drive, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Way back when. I mean, she was holding her own right against them, But, I mean, in the history of NASCAR, I mean, people always, bring up Louise Smith and stuff. And, I mean, she was out there competing with those guys and everything, too.
And if I remember correctly, the Flock brothers had a sister that raced a few races.
Sister that raced, too, yeah.
Yep. And so it's not like it's a foreign thing as far as happening, but but just all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together at the right time right now, and women are right out there competing in all forms of business and athletics and sporting events. So I mean, why not racing? Why not NASCAR?
And the bottom line is, when you get to big league racing, it ain't all talent. You got to have sponsor appeal, and that young lady's got sponsor on the hip.
Well, and I was just
and
getting
that
ready to
don't
say,
hurt one bit.
she's got the talent. She can drive. She's proven it. When you put her into a good, solid car, she can drive. Smartest thing that woman ever did was started getting her face out there and picked up GoDaddy, and she has taken care of them throughout the years, and that's why she is where she is today.
Well, I heard something, on one of the sports talk shows or something I was listening to over the weekend, and they said that Danica will be the person that will have had the most Super Bowl television commercials appearances after this one.
Oh, I believe that.
it.
And here's something I heard on the news about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The number one sports figure Googled for 2011 was Danica Patrick. Tim Tebow was second.
Yes.
Wow.
And
that's absolutely amazing.
And it's sports athlete. It's
Yeah.
not racing athlete.
Sports.
It is. And I was getting ready to say the exact same thing. Sports athlete. Number one Google. Don't tell me NASCAR doesn't want her.
Oh, they got to. They got to. They can't keep holding their breath waiting for Dale Jr. to win again.
Oh, man.
I tell you what, Al should have asked me if I thought Dale Jr. was going to win this year, because I absolutely, hands down, will say yes. And I think he'll not only win once, he'll probably win 3 to 5 times this year.
You're more of an optimist than a lot of people, but for his sake, I'd like to see him just win so he can relax and drive again.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, he didn't just, fall into that seat either, though. And I mean, you look back on Dale Earnhardt Jr. and look at how many guys have run nationwide cars or Busch Grand National cars and everything else. And the guy goes out there the first 2 years he's in the series and wins the championship. I mean, there were people that had been racing in that series 20 years that could not beat that guy for 2 years in a row.
Yeah. I think a lot of it really was then, too. Tony Uri Sr. would tell him, well, this is how Park drove it, this is how your daddy drove it, get in it and drive it.
Yeah,
there's a little adjustment. Yeah. He didn't know enough to know what to ask for and not to want, and he got out and did what he told, and when you're young, you'll drive a lot harder not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as you get older, so like you listen to some of them now.
Sounds like Days of Thunder.
I need to change. Well, we change this, and then this was a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Dale Jr., I forgot what race it was, and the crew chief said, "Dale, is the towing out?" And his reply was, "How in the hell am I supposed to know that? That little white piece of tape on the steering wheel is straight up and down." And I'm thinking, oh, he did not. But I just like to see him win again so he can relax and be competitive in a relaxed nature. I think right now he wants to win so bad that he could be over-trying in situations.
I think he'll win. I really do.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. He was absolutely robbed last year at Coke 600. And, when that car ran out of gas at that race, that was just... you could just hear the air go out of 100,000 people in that place whenever he ran out of gas. I mean, they just could not believe what they were seeing.
But he took that very well. I was kind of proud of him on that. He's
absolutely. I'm just going to tell you. I mean, that's the closest he has come since that Michigan race by far.
Yeah.
And he was, that's just one of those fluke things that. Another eighth of a gallon of gas, and I mean, he would have had that thing locked up. We wouldn't even be talking about this long dry spell, But he's a good guy, and he's very talented, and I think he's another one that, people just get on him so much, and there's just something that has been missing or whatever. But I think for sure that they started finding it last year, and I think this year he's really going to have a
Steve Letard's been a big improvement there, because if ever there's somebody who's been able to, on the radio, pumped Dale Jr. up by the way he talks and the things. I mean, that in itself, I thought, well, that might be something he needs because
they ran very well at the end of
and I thought that was real impressive that he was able to keep them pumped up. And you never seen him quite as, or heard him on the radio as down as you had the previous few years.
Yeah, exactly. And all that, that's a year under their belt. And Steve Letard, you don't find a finer person in the garage area than Steve. He's just a really, really good guy, and he's a smart guy. And I think, I think they're going to be a really big story this year. I really do. And that'll be, for Dale Jr. to win again will be the biggest shot in the arm this sport could ever hope to have. With the popularity of Dale Jr., I tell people all the time, NASCAR, they're definitely going through some hard times. It's been a difficult time for people. I mean, Richard Childress doesn't close down a team, and Jack Rouse doesn't close down a team if there aren't some economic things going on. But if you had given Dale Jr. 5 championships over the years like Jimmy Johnson won, this would be the biggest sport on the planet. There would be no economic problem or whatever. Right. I mean, but it's just the way it's worked out. I mean, but Junior is so popular, and I really think that he is going to, win multiple races this year, and it's going to be a big, big shot in the arm for this year. I think this is an exciting year for this sport. There's so many storylines. There was so much competition last year, and to even think that you could be, have the type of season that we had last year and be better. But I believe it could be. I really do. I believe there could be more people in contention for the championship this year going into Homestead, and make it even a bigger storyline than what it was last year.
Yeah, well, I think Tony Stewart kind of set the bar and said we can beat Jimmy Johnson.
Yep.
And I think that helped out. Sam, you're designing a whole bunch of cars this year, and you're of course, you're doing Hendricks and all them. What's the most exciting paint scheme you're going to have coming out? And I want to talk to you about a guitar.
You know what? I mean, we've been talking a long time. I mean, I've been on the phone here with for over an hour, and we haven't even talked about guitars. I can't believe that.
I wasn't going to forget it, Sam. That's one of my favorite subjects with you.
I'm doing well. Here's one thing. I've got a lot of paint schemes and stuff out there this year. My favorite paint scheme, though, I'm gonna tell you, is that Jeff Gordon car. It just means so much to me. It looks really good. It looks different than the cars he's had, over the years. But yet, there's certain things about the car that reflect back to every single car that he has driven for DuPont, if that's possible. There's flame tips on the front of it, and there's the DuPont oval on the side, which kind of mirrors the way I did the rainbows whenever I did the first car for him. And I really feel proud of that car from the standpoint of what it does aesthetically. It presents so many different things that have been important to DuPont and Jeff Gordon and the paint schemes on that car over the years. And that's my favorite one I've done for the new year so far. Now, the guitars. Let me say this. I'm so excited this year to be working with Sprint. Sprint has the Sprint experience that they take around to all the racetracks, and they have interactive displays and a stage, and Miss Sprint Cup. They're up there all the time doing band contests and different things. And this year they have asked me to be a part of their Sprint Rock and Racing sweepstakes. And what that is they're going to display all year long at all the NASCAR events into Champions Week in Vegas in December. They're going to display my guitars at the Sprint Experience. And the fans can enter a sweepstake sweepstakes and be able to possibly win a one-of-a-kind custom-painted Gibson Les Paul by me at the end of the year. And they'll be able to tell me their favorite driver and say, paint me a Tony Stewart guitar, paint me a Dale Jr. guitar, whatever, and I'll do a one-of-a-kind for them and give it to them. I believe the plan is to give it to them at the Sprint Cup Preview 2013.
Oh, wow. Now that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty neat promotion, and it'll give me a chance to really paint a lot of guitars and do a lot of different things during the course of the year. I'm working on the first 4 that I'm going to have on display at Daytona right now, and working on one that hopefully the pre-race entertainment's going to play prior to the Daytona 500. I've been able to, 2 out of the past 3 years, do one for Keith Urban and one for Brad Paisley that they played during the pre-race, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of those type of things during the course of this year.
Now, when you do something like that, do you get to keep the guitar, or is it given to the headlining act, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, that's a really good question, and the answer to that is the one I did for Keith Urban. Keith Urban, I gave it to him, and he kept it, and the one I did last year for Brad Paisley, I gave that one to him too, and that guitar was actually featured in his "Play Me Some Old Alabama" video last year, award-winning video, and they filmed it at Hendrick Motorsports, and Brad and his management team and some of the guys in his band actually came over and did like a midnight gallery crawl here at my gallery while and that was really a cool thing. I mean, I really had a blast. I'm a closet musician myself. I've been playing guitar since I was about 8 years old, and to get the chance to paint these guitars and design these guitars for these guys and be able to combine the two things I love the most, the racing and the music, and guitars and everything. It's a dream come true. I just feel very, very fortunate, and I'm extremely thankful to Sprint for giving me this chance to do this and give a fan at the end of the year, I think, a really, really cool gift.
That is awesome, and I'm going to have to check that out. I wonder if I'm eligible for that guitar, because I'd love to have that guitar.
I tell you, it'd be a nice deal. I tell you.
I'd love for you to win it. I really would. That would be cool. That's something that the fan experience at the racetrack. Television is fantastic. The coverage has gotten so good and everything else. But NASCAR's really done a good job of amping up the fan experience, and companies that support the series like Sprint. With their traveling, exhibits and everything like that, I mean, it really adds to the whole experience the race fan has when they attend an event live. And I'm going to tell you, if you've never been, if the fans out there, listening and everything have never been to a race live, I mean, you will enjoy watching it on TV so much better. Obviously, very few people can afford to go to 38 events a year or whatever. But if you go 1 or 2 times or a half dozen times a year or whatever, and you see these races live, you have such a different way of looking at the race when they broadcast it on TV, don't you think?
I know from doing some broadcast work on races, we taped a race one time that was, horrible. The race was horrible, I should say. It was 200 laps snoozer. And when that thing went on the air, all of a sudden we started getting phone calls, and my guy goes, y'all made that race really look entertaining.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. And I tell everybody, what you see on TV, take that times 10.
Right.
At the track. It's so much faster, and you can smell it, and you can feel the races, literally. And I think that makes a difference. You need to...
The big old sensory thing.
Yeah, you need to go to a race no matter what. Right. And even down on Souvenir Row, like you were talking about with the Sprint experience, and Ford usually has one, and Chevrolet has one, and Toyota has a huge one.
The whole Midway experience on that deal, it's just like, it has gotten so big, and I'm thinking, man, I don't know what they're paying now to park these things, but It's like a whole separate midway. And one thing that does, if you're a race fan, it allows you to get to the track early, do a lot of other things, try to beat some of the traffic. Doesn't help you getting out of the racetrack, but it will help you get in a little early with something to do.
Ambience.
My secret was at the end of the race, go climb in the car, lay the seat back, and take a good 2 or 3 hour snooze. You wake up, you're refreshed and ready to roll.
Sam, I'm gonna now. Nashville's not on the schedule this year for anybody, is it?
No, it's not, and that has been a devastating, loss for everybody. I mean, for the race fans, and then for me, as far as the guitar trophy, there's not really a home for the guitar trophy right now. But that's something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm definitely working on that for sure. And it's just the pure economics of it. I mean, they didn't have the attendance there over the past few years that they were expecting, and you can't operate a racetrack and everything without having people fill the seats up.
Right now, as far as economics, all racetracks are seeing a dip, if you will, if there's a polite way of putting it, at the gate, be it short tracks, series. I mean, I think a lot of facilities overbuilt during the late 90s, early 2000 period when the things were at a boom. Yeah. And now some of the people who came once in a while, when they were coming during that time, became bored with them, they've gone on to other things. Right. I also think there's not enough kids taken to the races to be creating new race fans because, I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, that's all I wanted to do is go to the racetrack, go to races. Right. When I was old enough, I wanted to be in a race car. That's all I cared about.
Yep.
But I see a lot of kids now, if they can't sit there and finger ticks and this, that, and the other, they could care less about anything else in the world.
If you could build a race car to be able to put a smartphone in there that you can tweet on while you're racing, you'd have them in there. Period.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing it down at Daytona. Who was it that sent a video over his tweet?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just, right now it hurts. I mean, prime example is that, you've got competitors dropping by the wayside because money is what drives racing. It's an unfortunate but a very real thing. And, I mean, you see it on short track racers falling. You see it in the number of cup teams and stuff that are falling by the wayside or cutting back, like you say, cutting back cars. You can have 4 teams. I never thought I'd see Roush with less than 4. Because they threw the 4-car team deal to get him out of 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, he's got his farm. People that he gets cars and motors to. I mean, Petty's getting stuff from them, as is the Wood brothers. And who would ever thought anybody other than Tommy Turner would build a motor in the Wood brothers car?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting time. Just in general, in life right now, it's very confusing what all is going on. I mean, with all the technology and with all the, the changing of, everybody with the smartphones and just technology is moving faster than people's ability to really keep up with it. And I think it's burning a lot of people out, and that's causing some people to fall by the wayside. And then, of course, with technology comes expense and financial, burdens and everything a lot of times. And people just cannot seem to keep up with everything that's going on right now in a lot of ways. But, it's just like, the first time people saw a calculator years ago, they thought, wow, that's an amazing piece of equipment, and I'll drop my $25 or $40 on that right now. You can get a calculator now at the 99-cent store.
Yeah, but you're talking about calculators. I'm still old school. I get mad at my kids when I see them using one or anything like that for homework. I said, what is that teaching you? You should do the work without, show. You need to learn how to do the work. But no, they told us, okay, I'm really out of touch with the reality.
Well, now, I'm going to tell you a short story here real quick. Back in school, I used to get in trouble by the teachers, and this was pre-calculator time, and because I could do it in my head.
Yeah.
And
you didn't show the work on paper. I got in trouble for
They want you to
that.
show the work on paper. I says, well, you can give me the figure, and I can give you the answer.
Yeah.
But this is our way of saving people money and getting them to the races. Come out and see the highest paying dirt late model race on the East Coast, April 13th and 14th, Virginia Motor Speedway. $2,000 to start, $25,000 to win, 100 lap A main.
Right.
Advance tickets are $30.
There you go.
Go to vamotorspeedway.com or call us. Go there, get the phone number, call. We'll take your ticket orders all day long. Be glad to hear from you. And if it get busy enough, Mr. Sawyer himself will take your ticket orders.
Hey, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Just so you don't get out of practice, you can design us up a Nashville guitar. You
got to pay for the guitar, Roger.
You got to pay for the guitar too.
Yeah.
Damn, I knew there was something wrong with that.
Yeah, well, I would gladly do it. I will tell you, there's been a lot of sponsors and a lot of tracks and everything that have called me about taking over the the trophy and being interested in what was going to happen with it and everything like that. And I've been very happy about that. But I've wanted to be very respectful of Nashville and the history and everything there, and I've just kind of taken my time as far as really committing it to go anywhere else or whatever at this point. But I will tell you, I think there's some real positive things that are going to happen here over the next couple months in regards to that, and I'm just very hopeful that trophy will find a home again. So we'll see how that all works out. But I'm real excited about the sprint experience of being able to display my guitars and work with the various speedways this year with NASCAR and have my guitars being performed with and everything like that. So if it takes a while to find another guitar trophy home, in the meanwhile I'll still be painting and designing a lot of guitars, and that makes me very happy.
And you're still doing stuff right directly with Gibson, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Those people, in my opinion, make the finest guitar on the planet, and I felt that way long before I ever met them. I've been playing Gibson guitars since about 1973, and that was always my dream, is to one day own a Gibson Les Paul guitar. So whenever I had the chance to design the Nashville Trophy for the first time, I made sure it was on a Les Paul because it has always been something I dreamed of owning. And I said, well, if I ever get a chance to paint one, that's what I want to. That's what I want to be the trophy. And it's an amazing relationship. Those guys are great in Nashville, Tennessee, and they've been really good to me. And I've made a lot of friends in the Nashville area. I love that city for its music and just the way they treat people. I've always felt welcome there. And if I ever moved from Charlotte, North Carolina, I promise you it would be to Nashville. That's for sure. So I love doing the guitar projects, and I love working with Gibson on those projects.
Okay, so I got to ask this because you said you always wanted to own a Gibson Les Paul. How many do you own now?
I'll be honest with you. I've got probably about 200 guitars.
Wow, Lord!
Yeah, I've collected guitars since I was, a teenager, and then over the years, I've met so many of the entertainers, and like I've done work for Kiss, and they sent me some guitars, and I've gotten to meet so many of my heroes and everything. And they've sent me guitars along the way. At my gallery, I've got about 80 guitars out on display. Various ones I've done and designed, and various ones that have been given to me by Brooks and Dunn and Travis Tritt and different people like that. And it's just been an amazing thing, to be a part of that, to have loved music since I was a little kid. My mom took me to country music concerts when I was 4 years old, and I got to meet Dolly Parton, and I got a picture with Dolly Parton before anybody ever knew Dolly Parton.
Oh my God! I got a feeling his mom took him to the concerts they used to have at the mosque with 4 or 5 acts and stuff back in the '60s.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. As a Richmond Moss, I used to go to all those shows every weekend. And you know, growing up, I mean, I got to watch, you know, Buck Owens and Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson and all these people. I mean, I saw Willie Nelson whenever he didn't have you know, a beard and long hair. I mean, clean cut guy, and you know, so my music history is something that that I'm really, you know, I'm really stepping out into a lot more. I mean, I've been able to, over the past couple of years, do projects with Montgomery Gentry and like I said, Brad Paisley and different artists, a lot of different artists, and they're such cool people to work with and for, and it's something I really enjoy. So I'm trying to combine as much of the racing and the music as I possibly can, and I think the race fans this year will really see a lot of really cool projects from me out there that they can enjoy.
Cool.
Well, good.
Hey, Sam, I would like to do a shout-out to your girl, Carrie. She did really good. She sent me a lot of pictures. I've shown a few of them on the show while you've been talking.
Cool.
And Matt has already scarfed those up.
Yeah, they're coming home with me.
I haven't even told him about the other 20-some pictures she sent me, especially a lot of the guitar ones, too.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, you know, Carrie does a really great job, and you know, you can't do everything, and I have to, you know, depend on people to help me with some of the different things, setting up things like this tonight, and you know, and when I get a chance to hear somebody like yourself compliment, you know, my staff, that means the world to me, because I really try hard to surround myself with good people that do things the way I want them done, and it's always so meaningful to hear from people like yourself that have been treated the right way, and to know that you know, my staff's working hard and doing a good job. So thank you for saying that.
No problem.
And we're sitting here at an hour and a half now with you on the show and loving every minute of it, but I know we got to get you out of here. I'm going to make a trip down there. I need to come down and see you.
Well, you are welcome anytime. Please tell everybody that they are welcome at the Sandbass Gallery. We're open Monday through Friday, about 10 to 5 every day. We do arrange private tours and different things here. You know, I work here a lot. When I'm not at the racetrack, I'm at the gallery for the most part, and I love meeting the fans and showing them around and everything when I can. And if I'm not available, my staff does a really great job, and everybody feels at home. And this gallery is filled with paintings and drawings and sheet metal and uniforms and helmets and rock and roll memorabilia and my guitars and stuff. And I love sharing it with the fans, and everybody that comes here seems to have a really good time. You don't have to buy anything when you come here, and the worst you can do is leave with a free postcard. And, you know, I know all about the race fans because I am one, and I want to take care of every single one of them when they come by here. So it means the world to me that you would point that out, and I would welcome anybody to come down here and take a look. And you guys are welcome anytime.
You know, one thing that he just made comment is, like I tell people, they ask me about my job, I said, one thing, as long as my job in racing does not interfere with me being a race fan first and foremost, that is the key thing, because the day that anything I'm doing employment would take me and make me where I'm not a race fan. Of course, now, I mean, 99.9% of my time, I'm going to be at a dirt track. I want to see 2-3 wide racing, and you know, just
enjoying life.
That's it.
Well, you be sure, you guys be sure to tell Bill Sawyer I said hello.
That's not a problem. You need to next time you come home, need to ride down for a visit and see what he's been doing since they got rid of Richmond to keep busy.
I do. I really, really do. And but please send him my best. And guys, please know how much I appreciate you having me on your show tonight. And I love talking with you. And I'd love to do it anytime you want to have me on there. Okay?
No problem.
We'll get you arranged out. Thanks, Sam.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Now, before we get ready to check out of here, I just want to make sure that remind everybody that tickets for the Commonwealth 100 are on sale right now. $30 in advance, $27 for seniors and military.
wait a second. I want to point this out to you, too. And I want you to tell the fans. You just said it, $30 in advance. How much to get in the pits?
$50, and that's 2-day pit pass.
That's a 2-day pit pass.
And
okay, your regular shows, what's it cost to get in the pits?
$20.
$20 without a license.
Oh no, there's no license in any dirt racing. That's because we don't have to send a check to Florida every so often for sanction fees. I mean,
it's all included in it. I wanted to point that out.
Knock on wood, our regular shows are $10 for adults, and you can buy a family pack, 2 adults, 2 children, for $20. And the reason I say in children, we charge for 7 to 12, $4 for a regular show, and we also have student prices, which is it covers your child up until they're 18 years old, which is a reduced price. So I mean, there's a lot of things we do to try to help the fans come to the races. We allow coolers, no glass, Playmate size, standard 12-pack size cooler, and that helps fans come in. Because as Bill has always said, they might be able to afford a ticket and not the concessions. Why keep them from coming to the races?
Exactly.
And come to our website, vamotorspeedway.com. You can get all your information for your tickets, our schedule. We're 45 minutes from Williamsburg, an hour from Richmond, and an hour and a half from Virginia Beach. Come hang out.
And a great time will be had by all. Guarantee it.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. You got Brian Tidball, you got Matt Mullins, myself, Roger. We had Al Pearce, we had Mike Retal with the lawnmower stuff. What are y'all going all crazy over there? And of course, Sam Bass. Sam, it was good having you on. Everybody, have a good weekend, and we will see y'all next week on Let's Talk Racing. See ya!
30 modifieds in the
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety Wear, Butler Built Seats, Bell Helmets, Hooker Harness Seatbelts, number 94 at South Boston Speedway. Be sure to listen to Let's Talk Racing TV.
Hi, I'm Sam Hunt, drive the 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Timothy Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Let's Talk Racing is brought to you by PC Doctors, Computer Sales and Services. This doctor still makes house calls. And also Hampton Incredible Tees and Signs, both located at 1248 North King Street in Hampton, Virginia.